sell real estate. Partnerships, using other people's money or skills. You know, I partner with a lot of people where I bring the contractors in, I find the property, I help sell the property, and somebody else might have money or credit, and we split the profits equitably. You can make all kinds of different deals, but if somebody's a busy attorney or CPA, they have cash and credit, and they're like, hey Ryan, you know, you see these deals all the time, let's do a deal together. You know, you find a deal and you put the numbers together, and it's really all cash on cash return. How much money are they making for the money that they're investing into the deal? And does it make sense?
So when you do that, like say you have a CPA that's got, you know, 500 cash in the bank, he doesn't know what to do with, and he approaches you, you buy a $150,000 property, he does the financing. Are you both on the deed?
No.
And then when you resell it, like
No,
how do you do that?
What I'm doing, me personally, I've created an independent consultant, contracting consulting agreement. I'm a 1099 person. Since it's a short-term partnership, I have chosen just to be a renovation consultant. So I have a contract that says I'm bringing in the contractors, I have to stay within my budget. Here's all the responsibilities that I'm going to do. And for that, at the end of the day, and I throw my commissions back in. So I have skin in the game. On the buy side, we earn 3% sometimes. And then on the sell side, I only charge 1%, but I throw that all into the profit pool, and then we typically, you know, we'll split the profits. So if an investor, and there's some finance loans now. I had a deal where the investor put up 28,000, and they made 8,500 back, and I made 8,500, but they only had 28 invested, and it took 4.5 months. So the return was like 50% annualized. So when you start looking at that kind of stuff, are you getting rich on one deal? No, you're not, but you're doing a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And if I do 6 deals this year, I want to make right around an extra $50,000. Could anybody use an extra $50,000? It's all probably, yeah, no doubt, right here. So, you know, I'm not looking to kill it, but I have goals, and I have two different things I'm looking at doing. And even if you just said, hey, George, I want to buy a rental property this year, just one property, and I make $200 a month, that's 200 extra right here in the jeans, and then I make 30 in equity, that's a goal that's achievable, right? You know? And you know what? I don't have a quarter, but I know a bunch of people that have some money to invest, and I'm willing to build relationships. So you know, there's I think it's Napoleon Hill that says that whatever the mind can conceive and bring itself to believe it can achieve. So you just have to believe it instead of going, you know what, I don't have any cash or credit. You know, I'll be honest with you guys, my credit's being repaired and my cash, my wife has all the money. It's in her savings account. So, but I do have a skill set, and I do have good partners, and I have good people in my database. So you can, you know, put these partnerships together. The last one was self-directed IRAs, using yours to invest or others for private funds. We're going to move on there to setting some goals, and we're running out of time here. And I think that's pretty simple. We just talked about it. It could be as simple as buying a rental property. But write those down on paper and put them everywhere. Put them on your bathroom mirror, put them in your car, put them in front of your desk. And it just keeps reminding you that, hey, this one rental property puts me a step closer to spending that time with my kids. This 120-unit apartment building puts me closer to my wife and I building churches all over the world. That's what I want to do. She doesn't want to do that, so I don't want to say my wife and I because she might not go with me. But she would like to live in Africa and build hospitals. So maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know. But it just puts you closer to that thing, whatever that thing is for you, that, you know, really gets you excited. And the other thing I had written down is you become what you think about most of the time. So if you become focused, and I hate to use the word obsessed, but when you're obsessed with it, when you're thinking about it all the time, one of the things I started doing, and I think I've said it to you because we're partners on a property, I'm looking for 20 to 100 unit apartment buildings. And I just want to buy one this year, and I have a cash partner, a wealthy Jewish businessman who's willing to write a check because we have a great relationship. But he wants a foreclosed property that's, you know, 50 cents on the dollar, and those are hard to find. But as you start speaking that to people, it's like when you get into real estate, hey, I'm a realtor. You my name's Cosman, I'm a realtor, here's my card, I got my license now. I just tell people, hey, I'm an investor, I'm looking for a 20-unit building, if you know anybody. And it's funny, it's like the law of attraction. The more you talk about it, the more you're purposeful about it, the more you look at that goal and think about it, the universe will bring it towards you, if that makes sense. We talked a lot about this, figuring out how many deals you want to do this year. How much income is another thing you want to make off of real estate. And setting some long-term goals for investing. Lease options I had written down. And I recommend having a 5-year plan. Where do I want to be in 5 years with my real estate investing? And even if it's, hey, I want to buy one house a year for the next 5 years. If you bought 5 good rentals that made you $200 a month, you'd have $1,000 a month in positive cash flow. Would that be helpful, Jackie?
Sure.
I know that's a simple question, but when you start breaking it down to simple steps, and how do I get there? Well, you can have 4 loans. I mean, if you want to go to the bank, I don't recommend always doing that. But you guys are real estate agents. You're coming across all the great deals and good deals all the time. You just have to figure out in your mind, hey, for you, Benny, Felicia and I want to buy, 3 properties in the next 3 years in this area, and here's how we're going to do it, and, counsel with your spouse or your whoever the person is that's your mentor or coach, and figure out a way to do it. Assembling a team, this may be the most important thing, and I know we've talked about that as realtors. Find a realtor who specializes in investment property and negotiations. We're all agents in here. George is going to get his license. But if that's not your cup of tea and you don't feel comfortable with it, I'll just use you as an example, Mike. I'd be happy to work with you. And you know what I've done when I was buying and selling property? I let the agent who had it listed keep the commission. And here's why, because I was making $15,000 and I let him keep the $1,000. And they're always, an agent hears that, oh, you can have both sides. I'm licensed, you disclose it, it goes on the contract. But you're doing it for a profit, right? You're doing it, and by letting that agent keep the commission, it's not for everybody, but if you know you can buy the property and sell it and make 15 or 20 grand, who cares about the $1,000? It's like picking up the nickels, right? So if you're not comfortable with the negotiations, find somebody that is, because it's not like, hey, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch in Strongsville. The price is the price is the price. When you're doing a short sale or an REO property, they're a different thing. If you guys have ever gotten involved in, some of those transactions. Mortgage lender, find 2 or 3 people that specialize in the investment financing. You talked about private money. Find a mortgage guy that understands private money, hard money lending. We heard that one before. I got a couple of good hard money lenders. Hard money lending is typically 10 to 18%, and it's sometimes 2 to 10 points. So be careful there because the numbers have to work. But I have a couple of different companies that I've dealt with that'll lend hard money. They don't care how many loans you have. They lend money based on the property. So if the property's worth $100,000, they'll lend you typically 70% of that. And if you know you can get it at 50, and then they'll actually lend you the repairs, the closing costs, the whole 9 yards. If the numbers make sense, you can buy a property. I know Casa Financial will do it out of Columbus. They are 700 plus or 680 plus, and they're actually a soft money lender because they put a lien on another property. But there's a lot of private individuals and hard money companies that will lend you all the money to buy the property to fix up and the closing costs, as long as you're in the 70% of the after repair range, if that makes sense. So you got your realtor, you have your mortgage lender, title company who's willing to work with you and give you discounts for buying multiple properties. I know I talked to Cheryl at Newmarket. I have some investors. If you buy 4 properties in a year, they have an investor program. So if you're going to buy more than 1 property in a year, find a title partner who's going to help you out in the title fees. I know it's not that much money, but when you start adding it up, it's all cutting into, because if you're buying and selling, you got the buy side closing cost, right? And then you got the sell side. You got commissions on the front, commissions on the back. that profit all of a sudden becomes very small when you start adding it, because you look at a house, man, I can get this thing, it's worth 150, I'll buy it for 80. Then you throw 30 in renovations, all those commissions, and then at the end of the day, you got like $5,000. Well, it doesn't work. So just be mindful of the title company that goes and costs. A real estate attorney who specializes in business and real estate. I have a really good real estate attorney if you guys need a recommendation. Somebody who's going to be able to set up your limited liability companies or your corporations or trusts or however you're putting, because I don't recommend having investment property unless you're going to buy it and then resell it quickly. I would, if you're going to hold on to it, I'd put it into a limited liability company because it limits your liability. And so we'll see. I've had tenants sue me, and all they can do is it's limited to what that company owns, basically, in a nutshell. And there's some tax benefits for corporations and trusts and stuff like that. And as you build your estate and you get more property, when you get more property, you want to be mindful of, you know, how am I going to pass this on? If I'm going to sell it, you can actually sell an interest in an LLC. But having a good attorney that can walk you through that process is really, you know, integral. I wouldn't do any investing without, you know, there's a couple other key players in this thing, but having those people in place and interviewing a couple of people. You want to, if say when I buy this 20 or 50 unit apartment building, my attorney's going to look at it. I'm going to put it in front of my CPA, and I'll probably put it in front of a couple other people I trust. Look at the numbers and really make sure, you know, that they make sense. You know, there's wisdom in many counselors, and you know, the more people that are looking at a deal. I've done deals where I didn't do an inspection and I didn't look at the property, and I made some big mistakes. We were 2003, 4, and 5. It was like throwing darts at the wall, and there were so many buyers. It was like fog of mirror. Okay, we're qualified for a loan. So we would just buy these houses in Akron and Canton and just fix them up and sell them. We had buyers lined up, and I'll tell you, at the end there, when they stopped lending money, we learned a big lesson. So don't get lazy. Make sure you always do your homework. Don't be afraid, and don't hesitate. You got to be ready to go and invest when the deal is hot. But make sure you talk to some people that are, you know, in the know on that. The CPA, I think I mentioned that. You know, get somebody. Make sure your CPA owns a rental property or has owned investment property and understands what you're trying to achieve. You know, after you write these goals out, I'd say, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy, you know, 10 homes this year and 10 next year, and I'm going to flip these 10 and hold these 10 as rentals, and, you know, what do you think? Based on the income that I have coming in. So you set yourself up the right way before you acquire all the property. Jackie, you'll like this one, a mentor or coach. Coaching is really important. You know, you're trying to get involved in real estate investing, and everybody's at a different level. You know, you talk to Wendy Patton's awesome. She's got a lot of great stuff. There's a lot of different real estate coaches and people out there. You might just align yourself with somebody who's bought some real estate and say, hey, you know, can I partner with you, learn from you? You know, I'm going to talk about doing and learning and reading books and stuff like that, and that's part of mentoring. But getting somebody specifically, and you know, if you have a real estate deal and you want to put it in front of me and say, hey, do you think this is a good deal based on the numbers? I'd be more than willing to do that. But just having somebody in your life that can speak truth, that's a non-interested third party, and say, hey, does this make sense? And then, you know, if you got somebody that's got your best interest at heart, that's experienced,